This podcast could potentially have adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly the possibility of sexual content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Drinking with Authors. I almost said the Literary Briefs episode. Well, Matt, I'm fine. It's okay. I'll catch up. I am your host, Erica Lance. My amazing co-host today is Danielle Orsino. Do not forget to like and subscribe to us. I have to say that. I didn't think I'd have to say that, but I do. So hit the button. You're listening. Or watching, I should say. YouTube fans, hi, we love you. Our amazing guest today is Tamatha Cain. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what we're drinking so people can drink along. So I decided to go a little bougie today. I'm a little bougie today. I say that because I found this. It's actually sparkling elderflower lemonade.
Ooh.
It says on it literally crafted with nature with hand-picked flowers. Now,
oh, you are fancy.
wow, it's a level of fanciness. I've had this before, but I mixed it with my floral gin upstairs.
Oh, that's real fancy.
Ooh.
And I'm drinking out of our Drinking with Authors. As you can tell, I've used this a lot. Swag. So I'm bougie, but not in a bougie glass.
Fancy.
Yeah, super fancy. So Danielle, what are you drinking today? Oh, I see we have one of the evil queens. Yes.
I've got Maleficent. She's back. Maleficent has returned again. I'm going with a hot toddy today. Just helping with the voice a little bit. But we're doing it out of Maleficent's cup. So, it's a little evil on a couple different levels.
I enjoy that. It's been very chilly up here. You live in North Carolina with me, so I'm with you 100% on hot toddies. But not nearly as bougie, but a better cup than me. Okay, Tamatha, what are you drinking?
Well, in true form, I think I sent you guys two pictures because I was like, well, it's early. Maybe I shouldn't go for my wine because I love red wine, all different kinds of red wine. So I poured myself Stella Artois.
Oh, look at that glass.
Ooh.
That's beautiful.
My daughter gave me that. Isn't it pretty? Because I love pansies. So cute. But then I don't want this. So I went and got what I really wanted, which was the wine. And this is translations. Because I'm a sucker for labels and titles of wines. But it's a translations Merlot. Wait, yes.
I love it. And that glass is beautiful as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this one's been around a while. I think it's the last of the sets. I've had it for a long time, but it's the last one that survived. The flowers or the fruits used to be much brighter and more vibrant, but it's the last one.
I appreciate it. I feel outcupped in this particular podcast. I feel very outcupped.
Well, I have a can. I have a can here. I'll pretend that
you're not drinking that. That doesn't help. Okay.
No.
Okay. So for those listening or watching, what do you write?
I write a variety of genres, but I tend to really like historical fiction. But and I know a lot of authors feel this way, but it really is the kind of stuff that really doesn't fit in just one genre, which I think is just kind of the way a lot of women's fiction or even historical fiction is going these days.
I agree. I don't think it should be boxes. You could have said, I write these 10 genres. I don't think there should be a box around genres.
I don't think so either. I just think it's just so lame. I just can't stand it. And, I understand that, it helps to know where the book's going to go in the bookstore and what the reader can expect, but I'm not sure the reader should always know what to expect, unless that's what you're looking for. But, sometimes a real human story, it's got all of those, it's got mystery and it's got romance, and because that's life, and so that's what I really enjoy. It's including all those elements in my writing.
I agree. I think I talked about this on a recent podcast, which, hello, everyone listening who may not be a writer, or even if you're a writer, I may shock you with this term, which is a BISEC code, right? Which is the code that puts books in a genre. And really, that is used for putting in the bookstore, but it's also used to go, oh, you liked this book. Well, this other book has the same BISEC code, so you may like that. So it can help you continue on, because none of us can write enough to feed our audience. But BISEC codes change every year, and they're changing because of self-publishing and small to mid-sized publishers like your wonderful publisher, Orange Blossom, for instance. And it's because they change and we go, yeah, so that's not a thing, because paranormal romance was not a genre until, I want to say, way less than 10 years ago. All of a sudden, paranormal romance became an actual like BISEC code, which is how they're calculated. And this year, there was like something like 160 new BISEC codes or something crazy like that came out for 2022. So it is changing, because self-published authors are making, and small to medium publishers that are not like in this, like, we're going to keep everything in a box, are changing it and going, this is cute, but this is actually a genre, and you need to make it a genre. So I agree with you. So what is your latest book? What are we working on? What is happening now in your world?
Well, this year has been a little bit crazy, because it's my debut year, and my first book, Song of the Chimney Sweep, came out in August. And I was just focusing on everything to do with launching that book. And sometime in the summer, I realized that the other book that I was working on with Ariel at Orange Blossom really had like a time-sensitive situation coming up. And it was that second book is about Una O'Neill Chaplin, who was Charlie Chaplin's fourth wife, and she was also the daughter of Eugene O'Neill, the playwright. And we realized that there was a movie coming out where Tobey Maguire was going to play well, at the time they said he was going to play Charlie Chaplin, and that's evolved. Now they're saying he's playing a Charlie Chaplin-esque character. But we thought, wouldn't it be great to get this book out around the same time that the film comes out? So we just been, we were in the middle of it. It was getting close, but we really worked hard to get it out. It's coming out January 3rd.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So the first one is Song of the Chimney Sweep, which is completely different. It's a dual timeline historical fiction that includes a lot of musical history, and excuse me, it's got a podcast that's looking into the disappearance of a lady that's based on a real story here where I live in Florida, North Florida, or inspired by that missing woman story. But Jacksonville has a lot, and North Florida has a lot of musical history that's not that well known, and that a lot of us feel like the city should really play up a little bit more and let people know about it. And so I really wanted to, as a former musician myself, I really wanted to include that as a major thread in this book. So that's Song of the Chimney Sweep that came out in August.
Very, very cool. That's exciting. So this is your first novel. Is this the first time you've been published?
Yes, Song of the Chimney Sweep was the first published novel. And then
so what made you decide to go, I'm going to publish a book? What made you? But tell us about this journey. We'd like to go on the journey.
It has been quite a journey, because I mean, I've always considered myself, inside a writer. But as a child, I also was really into performance and music, vocal performance. And there was a time in school, I remember my dad was in the Air Force and we were stationed in England, and I was going to school on base, and you had to choose going into a certain grade. I don't remember, probably from middle school to high school or something. You had to choose a focus, so, and I had an English teacher that, recognized, I guess, some writing ability and put me in a special group that he had made. But so I could do that after school, and that was great. But I chose choir and band, and so I just wrote myself. I wrote musical lyrics and songs all my life, poetry, and I did poetry competitions along the way. But I also met my husband in high school, and we got married soon after. And then like 2 years after that, we had our first child, and we were still very young, and life was, I still can't believe we are where we are at now. We just realized it's our 35th like dating anniversary since we started dating.
Wow, congratulations, well done.
Yeah, thank you. I did musical things along the way. I started college on a vocal scholarship, and I had my own band. Like I was a wedding singer. I had my own. I was a band leader, and so in those years, writing was poetry, short stories, just for myself when I had time. When I went back to school, when I wasn't for a while, I was homeschooling my kids or having children, poetry and song, music. But somewhere along the way, I also fell in love with, I was always looking for something that I could do as a stay-at-home mom to contribute to the family, but not, just to stay available to the kids at those important years. To me, that was important. And I started a custom cake business. And so that was like my thing for like 13 years. I owned a cake shop, and I did wedding cakes, and it was a lot, but it was sort of to help the kids through school, once they got out of college. I sold the building, and I remember my last wedding cake delivery, my husband came with me, and I got in the car, and he had put this beautiful book. I think I have it oh yeah, it's right here. Beautiful notebook with a lovely saying on the front and a pen, with an Ernest Hemingway saying, and he's like, now you can focus on this thing that you really should have been doing. And so that was wonderful. At that point, I had written a book and entered it in the Florida Writers Association Royal Palms competition, and it ended up winning for blended genre, actually. Because it wasn't one genre, it had a mystery and a little bit literary. And so that's been the last few years. It's just, I guess that competition made me feel like, oh, okay, I've always thought I could write, but other people say I can write, so maybe I really can. And so it's been wonderful being able to focus on it full time. Now that the kids are all out of the house, and it's my time.
That is awesome. That is an awesome story in the cake business. I have a friend that has a cake business.
Oh,
That is
yeah?
a lot of work. You're like, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and then you realize what it takes to do a 2-tiered wedding cake, and you're
exactly. And I was into all that, the sugar flowers and going to competitions and all that. It's a very stressful business. And I wanted to keep it small enough that I could do everything myself, even though I never did it from home. I had my shop and everything, but I could close up and leave anytime, or I could go in the middle of the night and work, when the youngest high school boy was, done for the day or whatever. So that's great, but that meant I do everything except on the weekends when, my husband would come with me on deliveries and stuff like that. But and I have to say, I do not miss it ever. And never, ever. People ask me all the time, you ever miss making wedding cakes? And no, not ever, not ever once ever have I ever said, why did I ever stop doing it? It was hard. There are so many jobs if you do it yourself. The meeting with the clients and the brides, with brides in a very stressful time of their life, and all the way down to shopping and cleaning and taxes and insurance and deliveries, and it's a lot. So I mean,
It's-
writing is hard, but it's such a, to me, it's just such a joy. Like I get to do this. I can't believe I get to just.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you because you did a perfect segue into,
Oh,
even with a small medium press, authors have to do marketing and PR for themselves. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how great your publisher is with you. You have to do it. That's where we are at from an author writing standpoint. So
Yeah.
you mentioned, you make cakes and stuff, and then all the little things that you have to do in order to accomplish it. So what has that transition been like now that you're learning all the marketing and all the, social media and events, and even like being on a podcast that you suddenly have to do, that you weren't like, well, I thought I was going to write a book.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it actually kind of helped me to realize that there's nothing sort of in the artistic world anymore that you can do without doing those things, the marketing, the social media and all that. So I'd gotten relatively good at social media for the bakery. And, I also like sort of utilize the writing in the bakery when, I'd write like tutorials for American Cake Decorating magazine, or just posts, just writing about what it's like to, to own a cake shop, or for the local sort of, it's not a fashion magazine, but the what's going on local magazine called Jacksonville Magazine. So I didn't come into it blind, and I was already following a lot of writers, so I could see what they were doing. My whole Instagram feed is nothing but agents and writers, and I was like, wow, it's the same thing. So it is true, and I'm at a point right now where I'm starting to feel like because the last few months have been the way they are with getting the Una book ready and marketing the first book, like it's gotten out of balance. It's all marketing and that type of thing right now. So, and I've got 4 or 5 ideas, 4 or 5, actually, I think it's more than 5 files on my computer of books started, ideas started, and charts and graphs of where these different stories could go. But I'm the type of person who kind of feels like all that other stuff has to be done first before I can just sit down and write. And that, I think, is going to have to change. I'm going to have to,
I would say
to
yes.
myself, yeah, like from this time to this time, every day can be social media. But other than that,
Well, it's
I have
interesting
to
because
get back to actually writing.
There was actually an article that came out from Written Word Media, and this article, and I'm going to say we're recording in December because this is going to air a little bit later, but it said the average time, and they have stages for different income, but it says stage 1 is average books published is 5, believe it or not, right? And this is for mainly, there's a lot of people that do this and have to have a day job, right? The majority of people have a day job that are doing it, but it said the average weekly hours you should spend marketing is 5.
Wow.
So I think one thing too, just because even if you write books in different genres, you're writing several books. One of the things I think a lot of authors don't realize is you're going to put a lot of effort into marketing this book 1, but you'll get the sales from marketing a book 1 even when you have a 3rd or 4th or 5th book out, because you want them to buy all the books, even if it's not the same genre. They like you as a writer, they're going to keep buying your books. And if you sort of spend and do all this stuff on book 1, book 2, then it's sometimes hard for some of these places to go back and go, but now I have a 3rd book. There's a lot that will go, oh, great. But there's some that are like, but we already had you on the show, or we already did an article about you, you know what I mean? And you've lost those potential other sales. So just something to think about as you're moving through this journey, because of course we all want our first books and stuff to be the best sellers, right? But sometimes it takes going into book 3 or 4. I mean, I'm also about to share with my authors, there was a tweet, somebody tweeted and said 2 people showed up for my book signing.
Neil
Right.
Gaiman,
Neil Gaiman
yes.
was like, yeah, we had 0, me and Terry Pratchett. So thanks.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
but that gives you perspective to go, there is a point of success, but it's not usually in book 1 is the point of success.
Right.
it's multiple books. So just
Yeah.
something to think about. So you prioritize getting more things for people to buy and then go
Mhm.
down a path of, hey, buy my things now because I have
Okay.
more things for you to buy.
Good to know.
Yeah, and no, it's a good thing. So this is an exciting changing journey for you. And I think that is so sweet that your husband put the little like you should write. Having a
Yeah.
supportive partner
Right.
in this journey, I think is phenomenal. Like I don't think that you can do this. You can do it alone, but it's harder to do it alone if you don't have somebody who's there supporting you and understanding your craziness when you're a writer and you're
Right.
like, you know,
Or like,
having conversations with yourself and you're like, I'm talking to my characters, get away from me. Like,
exactly. Or if you're at dinner, and I've always done this, but I think most writers have this problem. We can't stop eavesdropping on people, or what's going on over there, or who are they to each other, or and he knows I get that glazed over look over dinner, and he's like, just wait. I mean, we have been together a long time, so he knows, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely invaluable. I'm trying to pull out of the stack this book to show you that he gave me.
oh, that would be fantastic. Oh, look at how pretty. Oh,
Oh,
I love that. I'm not going
look
to
at
say
that.
what it says on it because this is for our YouTube viewers that they can go check this out and see what it says, but it's
Oh yeah,
absolutely amazing.
isn't that sweet?
It's
So
very
sweet.
sweet.
And then the pen was I've never had a pen like that. It was one of these fountain pens, and it had Ernest Hemingway quote on it. So sweet. So yeah, he's amazing. Very supportive. So that is absolutely a huge part of all of this.
That's very cool. So I have a question before the break was, what was it like to get your first book in your hands?
Oh my goodness. It's right here. It was crazy. And to open it up, and honestly, I have a very bad memory. And so I opened it up and just started reading. And I was like, oh wow, who wrote that? Like, I wrote that? It just to see, and then after a while, you remember the moment when you wrote a certain part, or when you had that idea, or when you figured out how to play, how to flesh it out, and then to see it inside a book, it's incredible. It was incredible, just amazing. Really great
I
feeling.
think
Working
that
with
can be
Gary
one of
was
the most incredible moments is when you get your books in your hands and you're
Mhm.
like, I did a thing. Here's a thing
It's
that
here. This is proof. I really did it, because uh, I could feel it. Telling people, now I'm an author. People who've known me a long time, like, okay, you owned a band, you ran a band, then you had a bakery. Now you're an author. Okay, we'll see. And to actually have it and say, see, I did
I
it.
did it.
It's real. There's pages in there. Look at that. I wrote all those things. People actually
look
said
at
to
my
me, you wrote
name's on
that?
it.
hmm
Yeah, people said you
Yeah.
wrote all of that. I was like, no. I just, how else did it happen?
Oh, people say the weirdest stuff when it comes to art.
Yeah,
They
they do.
really, it's also like, it's interesting because when my friends go, oh, can I have a book? I know this sounds terrible, but I'm like, no, you can buy a book.
Nope. Yeah,
You can
same
find them
thing.
on
Yeah,
here.
you can buy one.
Mhm.
Like I give,
And leave a review.
there are 3 humans on this planet I give copies of my books to. 3. I birthed 2 of them. So like that.
Yeah, that's what all
it.
my kids are getting for Christmas.
Yeah, but I
Book
think
this
it's
year. That's what you're
interesting
getting.
because it's kind of like the cake business and things that you do. People, I have no doubt you
Exactly.
had
That's what I was
friends that
gonna say.
assumed that it would be free or at some ridiculous discount for doing it. And you're like, the work isn't any less for doing the activity. So assuming like you spent a ton of time writing that book, you can go buy one, and then on top of that, go leave me
Leave a
review
review.
for
A
my friend.
review, exactly. Buy a couple. Give it to some people.
hmm
Help a sister out, would you? Because like you said, it's almost exactly like when I did cakes, and people actually thought they were doing you a favor. It'll be advertising for you, to have your cake at our wonderful event. But like if I spend a week a cake takes a lot of time and planning, especially the kind I used to do was like, the like cake boss, those kind of with lots of things on them and, handmade stuff. And it takes a long time. And if I'm doing it for free for you, then I can't take a paying order from someone else either. Not only is it free, but I'm also, I can't take any other orders. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other, not industry, but I feel like it's only artists of different kinds who go through this.
No, it's true. There's one, I'm gonna throw it out and then we really have to take a break. But
Okay.
I have friends that do hair. They're hairdressers. And they've been hairdressers for years and years, go to school and all that. And the amount of friends that they meet or people they meet that come to see them that then expect them to give a discount. I think this happens even if you're a mechanic, something like, I get it, they're your friend and you can put a business, but look to see, one, is your friend any good at what they're doing? Because just because they're your friend doesn't mean they're necessarily good at whatever the hell you have them asking them to do. And two, are they in the price range you want to do it? I had a friend that used to teach and do like the big hair shows and stuff like that. And people would, befriend him and think that he's going to give them a $10 haircut. He's like, my man's haircuts start at $80. Do you want to go see somebody like that? Because that's what you have to choose when you're doing that, and not expect him to be like Fantastic Sam's where it's $10 to get your hair buzzed.
Yeah, same. It was the same with cakes, and it's the same. Well, is it the same with books? I don't know, but you have to go to a commercial break.
We got to do a break. We'll come back to this.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Sample locally sourced, quality distilled spirits in the beautiful Columbia River Gorge. At Skunk Brothers Distillery, we're family-owned, brewing small batch grain to bottled spirits, just like our grandfather did back in the Prohibition era. From handcrafted bourbons and moonshine to flavored blends and cordials infused with local fruit. Join us for a tasting tour and buy Skunk Brothers Spirits straight from the source.
It's all in the family at Skunk Brothers Spirits, located in Stevenson, Washington.
We're back on our discussion of professions I think in the book profession, I think where it can come into play is two places and this is where I found it at least. One is people expect free books from you, or they expect like a very discounted book, right? And don't realize that part of the acknowledgement in the real world of your writing is books sold and books reviewed, because it's all metrics on these sites to tell you whether or not, you're worth anything as far as they're concerned. The sites, you're worth millions, but then the other place that I've seen is people have asked me to write things for them. You're a writer, will you do this ad for me? Or you're a writer, will you do this thing? And I'm like, well, are you gonna, now some friends I help out, obviously, if they're like, hey, I wrote this ad for this thing, do you mind helping? Like, there's totally helping people out, but it's different when somebody you barely met or something comes up and is like, hey, can you write this thing for me? And I'm like, no. No.
But you get that with medicine too. As a nurse, I get that for medical advice. Yeah. Oh, I got this thing on my back. Could you just take a quick look at it? Or, so I have this, and I'm like, I can help out to a point, but at some point my license comes into play, and no, I can't do that. That's outside my scope of practice. Yeah. I find medicine is the same way. People want like a quick, they're like, I have one question, just one question for you. Want, can you just look at this for me? Just one quick look. And I'm like, I can't, or can you get this prescription? No, I can't get a prescription. I can't help you. So I think medicine is also the thing that everybody's looking for a freebie for, because they don't want to go to the doctor or, something like that. So I think medicine's the other side of it.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably, I bet if we did a survey, people go ahead and comment, is this a thing? Like, what profession and what do people expect of you?
That's a good idea.
It's definitely a weird thing. I love how off topic we get about stuff here.
Yeah, we went weird.
Podcast. It's fine. We go left. Okay. So let's talk about you. You were, you had all these wonderful kids that have grown up. What is it like now having like peace and quiet to be able to write?
It's very weird. It's really kind of weird. Yeah. We're still in the same house that they, all grew up in, and we have, it's a small house. We made it work while they were here, but we've kind of made it for two people getting up there who we would like to stay in the same house. So, when they want to come home, it'll be here. But it's weird, but I've always been of the mindset that I've never been one of those parents that's like, oh, don't grow up, oh, never grow up with their kids. I feel like maybe it was because I did have my kids so young. I had them all in my 20s. I was done by the time I was 28, so I've just always felt like it's your job to raise them to be decent human grown-ups and, let them be functioning adults in the world. So to be able to see them all doing that to the best of their abilities it's wonderful, and it's a big blessing that they all do want to stay in touch, that none of them are too far away at the moment, and even when they are, they want to stay in touch. And so I think that's more than I can ask for, to have kids that I like to hang around with. They're humans that I like to spend time with, and I hear from them all every day, and that's wonderful. So yeah, I enjoy being. I don't have a problem being alone. Like when COVID happened and our one daughter moved back home from. She had gotten a job in Cleveland. She's working on her architecture licensing, and she had a job up there. So she came home during COVID, and my husband was working from home during COVID, and I had just gotten my own office and my own space to write in. And so all of a sudden everybody's back home. I was like, this is really great, but I was just about to.
You're like, I was so close to not having any of you guys here. So close.
This is why you have people have a drink before interview them. I'm not sure I've admitted that before, but it was wonderful for them to be home, and I love when my husband works from home. But I don't have a problem being by myself. I like spending the day writing, and I got a dog, thinking that was going to be my companion before COVID hit, and so then we ended up with 3 people and a dog instead of just me and a dog during the day. But anyway, so it's weird. It's a new phase of life, but I just choose to embrace it and enjoy each day, and just hope for them to have all they want out of life, and let me be a part of it.
No, I think that's fantastic, and it's great that you raised good people. I have 2. They live in different states than me, even when they go farther away. Trust me, the relationship's there, and then it's so much more fun when they come to visit.
Mm-hmm.
What do they think of your writing? Have any of them read it?
Yeah, the girls both have. I don't think my son has, and my daughter-in-law has. And they were actually a lot of help. Each of them, came back with different little things, and they were great beta readers with the Chimney Sweep, song of the Chimney Sweep, and I think they've all been really supportive, and tell their friends their mom's a writer, so that's nice.
Oh, that's cute.
That's very cool. Wow, that's I think that's neat when kids read. So let's talk about is this your writing space? Did you set up your office?
Well, this is the current one. This room is eventually supposed to become a bathroom. This was our youngest daughter's bedroom. We had split a room into 2 for the 2 girls when they became teenagers, and so this space was part of our youngest daughter. Anyway, it's going to become a bathroom. The guest room that was my office, my husband uses when he works from home now. So, but now that things are sort of settling out with how things are going back to normal with office work, and he knows how much he needs to be there, and here we have a new plan. So this is a little bit temporary, but it's nice.
It's very nice. What is your favorite kind of environment to write in? Like, where do you enjoy Do you need it quiet? Do you like music? Do you need to play Hallmark movies in the background? I heard that the other day. That was a thing. So
Really?
Wow.
No, I cannot listen to music. I think it's just because of my musical background. And I'm sure, it's that way for a lot of people. Some people just, they need music going when they're trying to think. I cannot, because all I can think about is what I'm hearing. If it's someone singing, or, the song will get stuck in my head, and I just cannot focus on anything else when there's music playing. And so I can't do that, but I do like just a quiet space. I love working at the dining table. Chimney Sweep was all mostly written at the dining table, and the only thing I have discovered is earplugs, not like to listen to stuff, but to drown out outside noise. That helps me a lot. And just a comfortable chair. Oh, and my one like indulgence that when I'm really writing and I'm trying to get a certain number of words a day, and I'm really buckled down, is this split keyboard, where you can put the two pieces wherever you want, and I can just kind of sit however, and you don't have to have your hands in one position. I love that. I love the split keyboard. So that's my one sort of indulgence. The other thing that's really helped a lot is using Scrivener, because it was the one thing that I found that sort of worked like my brain works. Like I tried to create something like that with what I had at my disposal with my laptop. And when I found Scrivener, I was like, that's it. Someone else understands exactly how, I want to lay everything out, and to be able to see, a folder for each chapter, or a place to, stick in a new scene, or to be able to move things around, just drag and drop. So I love that. I know
there's
that
a lot of people. So you are obviously a plotter then, if you're a Scrivener fan.
I am, but I think that I think that I want to think that I am. And I like to have, I like to know where we're going, how it's going to end, the important things that are going to happen. But I do really love letting something just get discovered, because I remember when I first started, really doing this seriously, and listening to podcasts, or I watched a lot of YouTube, writers talking about how when they're pantsers, how the character just starts doing something, and then I have to write it, and I would be like, okay, that's okay if you say so. And I just didn't believe that was possible. And I remember the first time that happened, it was it's called The Parts of the Show, the one that was in the Royal Palm Awards, where I knew what needed to happen in a scene, and one of the characters it just made sense. And of course, it's coming from your own brain. You're making it up, but it's because your brain is putting itself in this character's place, and things that I didn't think were going to happen started happening, and I was like, well, that's really good. Thanks, Tanya, made up character. Thanks for that. And so I do think that the more I write, the more evenly distributed those two things are, the plotting and pantsing. For me, I have to have some kind of an outline. I definitely want to know how the story's going to end. I don't necessarily need to know what the final scene is, like how the book ends, but I need to know how the arc is going to end, and what important things are going to get us there. But I really have found that I enjoy letting some of those things kind of percolate, and letting the characters do what they're going to do. And sometimes they'll do stuff and you can't just let them. And it might be good, it might be bad, and then the next day they'll come up with something different, which is kind of the beauty of being the one who's writing the story.
Well, and I think, your writing can change, like whether you outline, whether you have to have, because as you grow as an author, and I feel like it's kind of like almost training. Some people have to stick with Scribner, drives me crazy, but I am like so far into Panzerville, like I'm on the edge of whatever else is on the other side of Panzerville. Because I do not, I sometimes have a couple bullet points, and by bullet points, I mean one like line sentence things that, and that's mainly for one series that I write, because it's about it's my Home on Whore Island series, and it's about a woman who has different kind of one night stands, basically, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I just have the guys' names, like, and what the encounters are, but not even in any particular order, just like what they are, so I can include them, and they don't all make it in the books. And but other than that, I just have to write, because if I do that, I start getting myself wound up into whatever I'm putting down versus like the story playing out. But I know some people that like have to write a huge outline, and they have to have all this in the chapter synopsis, and they have to have that all mapped out, and then they can go write. And they tell me that, and they're like, I have my 50,000 word thing, and then I'm going to go, and I'm like you're more than 2/3 of the way through one of my books, like 50,000 words. What are you talking about?
Right. It's so funny how completely different minds, different minds will respond to the job of writing, of getting those words on the page.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Okay, so let's talk. Your book came out. Have you done any in-person events with it yet?
Yeah, I did a few book signings here in the Jacksonville area in Fernandina. It's a town nearby, Amelia Island in Fernandina, and they were pretty successful. I have an author talk, a lit chat at the local library coming up this Saturday, actually, which I'm looking forward to. I've never done anything like that before. But the reason we're having it there is that there's actually that library, and the park that library is situated on is very near my house. And I had learned at some point that writing the book, that the Allman Brothers, when they first got together as the Allman Brothers, was here in Jacksonville. And I didn't realize that it was like a mile from my house, the house that they all lived in and crashed in. And they would do these free jam session concerts. Whoop, almost dropped my wine. At the
don't do that
at the park there, which was the park I used to take my kids to when they were little, and I never knew all these years that was the case. Anyway, so we're having that lit talk there, so yeah, I've had I think I've had two signings, and they were pretty well attended. Not all, only my family members, and so they were good experiences. I'm not sure. I think I've got one local one lined up for only Una in March of next year, but that's it right now. We did a what do you call it, a virtual book tour? Yeah, virtual book tour. The publisher Orange Blossom set that up, that was cool. They each did a review, and they shared it everywhere, and that was very helpful. Got lots of book club followers from that. So yeah, it's been a lot of learning the last few months. A lot of being flexible and just trying to take things as they come, and learn as I go, and figure out what works, and what are the best ways to connect with potential readers. Working on the newsletter a lot too. So
newsletter is key.
Yeah.
Like, if you could pick one promo item, I would say newsletter.
Yeah,
because like 20 to 25% of your newsletter following will purchase your next book. So I'm not great at the math.
Everybody listening, go and sign up for my newsletter, please. Then
exactly. Well, you're gonna get to shamelessly self-promote in a minute here, so that is going to be good. Oh my goodness, I had a question. So what are you? This is what happens when the gin and our hand-picked elderflowers come into play. So bizarre, hand-picked elderflowers. I just want to say that I want to say they're handpicked, and I go, okay, so how does one do that with any sort of scalability? And I
Mhm.
just imagine like somebody delicately, like you see in the little videos,
Yeah.
ooh, like just
In a
one. And I'm
basket.
like,
Pluck, pluck.
yeah, that's how I imagine it. That is probably not how it goes, but
Probably not.
and then it says handpicked. It doesn't say what kind of hand though. Maybe
Ooh,
they
robot
trained
hand.
like cats or something to
Oh
go
my
like it doesn't say. It's a little bit misleading. Okay, that's where my brain goes. As a writer, I go, how do I write this story? Handpicked elderflowers. No, just kidding. But let's talk about what are you working on now? So I know you're doing editing on a book that's gonna come out, right?
Yeah, well, that's finally, that's all done. The last formatting was done a few weeks ago, and so now I really, besides marketing, I don't really have an excuse not to actually start seriously giving time to writing again. I went to
Okay,
my
so
first.
what's the next idea then?
Oh, well, I have several, and I had several ideas with a couple of chapters written. And then I went to my first writers retreat with Women's Fiction Writers of America. And they had, every day they had like writing sprints. And I'd never done a writing sprint before. I always saw, writers getting together to do it. And I'd never done it. But I said, well, I'm here. Let me see what's the value of this, And I really couldn't believe how well that worked for me. I don't think it works for everybody, and I really wouldn't have thought it would work for me, but I took one of the ideas that, was the sort of strongest in my head, and just started imagining a first scene. And I got like 2 chapters of that done just during a couple 45-minute writing sprint sessions. And so I think that's the one I'm going to focus on. That one is, my mom was from India, and my dad is, well, his family was Polish and French Canadian. Anyway, I had this idea of somehow having 2 characters that, are on some sort of an adventure together, with those types of separately, those backgrounds, not like me, being all of those things. So the scenes that I got written were actually set in India during, gosh, who was it? I think a future King Edward's visit, which was a real event. And I absolutely loved what came out with this character who's sort of like a fantasy version of my mom. But then I had another idea that plays on my musical theater background, and I think Ariel really likes that idea. So once I actually buckle down, I'm gonna have to obviously pick one or blend them. And but that's where I'm at.
Well, or you can focus on both. Writing sprints are a brilliant idea. I think if you are having a hard time making time for writing, creating writing sprints, even 4 or 5-minute writing sprints where you just use 20 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
One, you get, I think, train yourself to be faster in thinking about it instead of dwelling in your story.
Right.
And 2, I think it could be great to go, I'm going to take an hour to do writing today. Well, I'm going to do, 5 20-minute sprints or whatever to get you through the 3 20-minute sprints. I can't do math. Like, do not trust
I knew
me
where
to
you
do
were
the
going
math.
with it. It's okay.
I appreciate that, Danielle, because it left the building. Okay.
That's good.
So Tamatha, let's do some shameless self-promotion. Where can people find you in your books?
Okay. Well, my website is a good sort of hub for all of that. It's just tamathacain.com. I'm on Linktree. I'm most active on social media. I'm most active on Instagram. It just works the best for me. But I also have a Facebook author page, Twitter, even dabbling in TikTok a little bit. But we'll see what happens with that. And there's a blog on my website. And of course, if you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can do that at the website. Where else? I think, for like everyone's these days, if you're on social media, the quickest way to get information out is, for me, it's Instagram with social media. So if you're going to follow me on social media, I would suggest Instagram. I try to do something there every day or share something there every day. Right now I have a really cool giveaway going on, which is, well, I guess I didn't talk about Una very much, Una O'Neill Chaplain, but I actually made friends with her just over the internet with one of the chaplain's children. She lives in Colombia, and they had 8 children. And she told me some wonderful information about her mom that's included in the book. And one thing she told me was that her mom loved red lipstick. And so I found there's a company called Besame Cosmetics. And
Yes.
they all, do you know them?
Yes, I
Yeah,
love them.
they're so cool, and they do all that sort of vintage inspired and also cosmetics. And they also actually bring back formulas, sort of modernized to what's available today. But they had a lipstick. I thought Besame would be the perfect, a Besame lipstick would be a perfect giveaway, right? So I went on their website, and they actually had some lipsticks broken down by years, like inspired by certain years. And they had one that was 1925, Forever Red. And Una was born in 1925. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's perfect. That's so perfect. And the tube is so pretty and vintage. And they had I don't know if it's for Christmas or if it's always going to be in their collection, but they had a nail polish and lipstick set. And so we're doing a giveaway of that. You can sign up. It's on Rafflecopter, and to sign up for that, I think the easiest way is to just go to my link tree, which you can find through Instagram. It's right there at the top. And there are lots of ways to sign up for that. So share it with your friends and all that. So that's going on for, I think, a couple more weeks. I'm on Goodreads. I would love a follow on Goodreads, or of course, rating or a review there. That would be great. Song of the Chimney Sweep is doing pretty well over there. We've done those giveaways too, so it would be good to follow me on Goodreads, I think, because I really love doing book giveaways over there. And one just got finished, and it was really, really successful for the one for Una. And so I would say, follow me on Instagram and Goodreads, and you probably will hear whenever something cool is going on.
Very cool. Well, you have been so much fun to have on this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Very, very cool. Thanks for being here. Guys, this has been Drinking with Authors. I've been your host, Erica Lance. My co-host has been the amazing Danielle Orsino. And we will see you guys. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's fine. My brain works so well after June, I promise. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Of course, leave us a review. We would love to hear what you think, and we will catch you guys next time.